We are getting the stream all set up over here. I think we're gonna be good. Just gonna tweak some of these settings over here and then we'll get going. But if you're seeing live video now, I apologize. I just want to make sure that chat's actually working. Because right now I don't think it actually is. Oh lordy. Why is it doing this to me? Beautiful. Let me see if I can get this. I'm gonna get this for you guys. I'm gonna play Gems of War in a second, I promise. Oh man. I hate that I can't test this before I start streaming. No. It's gone. Makes me sad, man. Oh well, hey everybody. Welcome to the stream. How's everybody doing today? I'll go get a YouTube chat box in there, and our friends over on Twitch will hopefully just enjoy watching us talk. Haha. Dun dun. Let me get the YouTube one going. I tried to get all exciting. I tried to do something fun. I was trying so hard to give you guys an integrated chat experience. But lo, we did not. So going back to the old. At least I'm streaming on both platforms, that's a plus. I didn't realize that, whatchamacallit, Mixer updated their policy, so it's all kind of weird now. So that's not fun. Don't know why that chat box isn't working. There it is. Ah ha ha ha. Alright. Now you get to see some of the behind the scenes action of how you do this stuff. The most riveting stream that anyone's ever did see. And shrink of that. Bring that down. Fix this. This is what I try and do before I actually start streaming, but I was trying to use the other chat, which doesn't actually show up until you start streaming something. Alright, I think we're in a good place now. That's enough of that chicanery. Who wants to watch me play some Gems of War? I do. I certainly do. How's everyone been? Oh man. Hey, Scotland up in the house. How's it going, guys? That's kind of awesome. What time is it in Scotland right now? Pardon my ignorance. I honestly have no idea. Is this like prime time for Scotland streaming? If I'm trying to build up my audience over there, this is this is gonna be the time, it seems. So I'll get this pet battle out of the way, but then I'm really gonna be grinding up some bounty action over there. I ended up buying a decent number of tiers this time around, so I should be able to get close to, if not max rewards. We'll end up seeing how close it actually gets. 4 PM, that's not so bad. So close to having my stream set up the way I want it to be. I'm just like fighting with all the multi-streaming platform stuff. Oh no, my chat box is like slightly misaligned. There we go. That's better. Live TV. I always feel like my weekend streams have a lot more energy and a lot more people on them, honestly. I don't know what it is about the weekend. I kind of assumed they would be my worst ones, but they seem to be my best. What's up, JZG? Lime TV. I like that. I should totally steal that. I'll have like my stream titles be that or something. Oh man. So it seems like I'm gonna be making a brand new tier list video. I know I just released the update one, but someone made a comment that was actually extremely valid. That I don't re-explain basically what everything is, so I kind of assume everybody knows what everything is. So it's kind of like the pro and con of that is that people that already know what all the mythics do don't have to hear me re-explain it. But for the people that have no idea, it gives them an opportunity to like hear the latest opinions on everything. So I feel like maybe once every 2 or 3 update videos, maybe I'll just do my super massive talking for 20-hour stream or videos, just talking through every single mythic again. That should be fun. It almost makes me wish I could update existing videos instead of having to remake an entire new one. Like, if it would let me just kind of overwrite the previous tier list video with the new one. Because that way anytime anyone kind of like clicks that, it'll always be my latest thoughts on the entire tier list or something. Those videos are just like super intense as far as time goes. I can't believe I shot the first one in like literally one sitting. I don't even think I was editing back then, so I was just literally talking for 2 hours straight. I haven't watched the whole thing through in a while, but I can only imagine I'm like gasping to talk through most of it towards the end. So the new bounty event this time around is okay, admittedly. I don't like love the new troop. Like blue mana is kind of an awkward one to make. The one nice thing with the new troop, if folks haven't seen it yet, is that it'll actually do double damage to Raksha troops, which is what we are fighting. So putting him in your top slot is like your best bet as far as using like a pure bounty team. That'll definitely help your damage output with that. Just trying to keep him alive is kind of the name of the game in that scenario. I will show you in a second. I always feel so bad when I use this team. It's like poor Cedric just sits up there and I like intentionally let him take shots in the face like over and over and over again. That was not where I was trying to go with that gem. It's kind of like when Cedric dies, I'm almost like happier. It's kind of messed up. Just like leaving him there, lambs for the slaughter. There he goes. Let's get that little dude up there. Huh? Ba-bam. Alright, pet rescue done and out of the way. Let's get some bounties. Have that there, I'll do that later. Dungeons? Oh, adventure board, I haven't even done that. Oh, that's a, wow. Let's, all admire that beaut. Holy crap. I feel like now that everybody in the community gets the same board, like, a board like this just makes everybody furious. I wonder if the devs have just left it pure RNG, if they're actually picking these, but I would assume it's pure RNG, but that makes baby Jesus cry. That is, some not good times. Alright, bounty time. Let's see how far I got. I'm up to 12 right now, pure faction. So, as I was talking about before, Droggo, blue mana generator, he's doing double damage to Raksha. If we pay attention to our friends over here, there's some Rakshas sitting there. Sacred Guardian isn't in this instance, but generally they're mostly Raksha, if not all, over there. So we will run through. This team is set up this way because... yeah. Yeah, that Thief team is viable forever, basically. Like, until the scaling of difficulty changes, so the devs have talked about potentially scaling difficulty like these difficulty slider is going to go away and everything's just going to be some base level. We'll have to see if teams like the key spam team are actually still useful at that point, but for basic things like pet rescue events, like challenges up to like tier 8, the key spam team is like totally fine. You can still use that for a lot of kind of like remedial task kind of stuff, like adventure boards I usually clear with the key team. But yeah, to JZG's point, if you want those purple trait stones, now's your day. So again, blue mana generator dude, he charms somebody. He's not the strongest troop. Corpse Mare's here because he scales a little bit, so he's stealing life, so that's like true damage. This person's also doing true damage, and then this person's also doing true damage. So we've got a lot of true damage situations going on here. Droggo's in the top slot mainly just because of the triple damage piece, so you just gotta, at least in this fight, make sure he survives those two. But as I've said in like my bounty guide video, for instance, like once you get to around the level that I'm sitting at now, it's kind of like a pivot point. You need to decide if you're actually going to be able to push on with the pure bounty team or if you need to switch things up. Kinda don't want to do that, but so be it. So this guy again, he's stealing life, and it's boosted by Skulls Destroyed, but the boost is so laughable. He's really just here because he kind of boosts a little bit and is yet another true damage dealer. But one thing that you can be doing, so like with this person, you can actually rotate out their team like this, so that way we can get the Rakshas up top, so that'll actually help your Droggo up there. Just kind of like a little trick you can do. It's a decent, wow, that was actually a decent board for a loop, and you got smacked in the face. So I'm just gonna start picking off the top guy so I can start triple damaging this dude. There's no cool things I can do with the destroying of a row here, so that's fine. Just another one. Bam! Massive, massive damage. Alright, so now we're triple skull damaging these guys, and this guy's just got like no health basically. So, oh god, I always try and click the people, it's like muscle memory. And dead. So since I bought so many tiers, this is actually going to be a lot easier than normal, I think. Like normally I don't end up buying tiers until I get to the end because I decide if I want to try and push through, but this time I'm just kind of like gunning for it. So that should make life a little easier. But we got a Raven down there we gotta take care of. Just remembered I gotta do a little bit of that action to keep the world excited. I mean, I don't care about the green or the purple really. Creating blue is not really that scary, so whatever. So now we're gonna try and just focus down. Oh my god, I still do it. Focus down the bird. Oh, that was almost a code actually. Triple damage, goodbye. Lots of brown, just for fun. Alright, start hurting this dude. This board's not super great for this, but let's do it anyway. Hooray! For us. That guy's almost dead. Let's just toss the bird before we do this. Goodbye, birdie. And now we're in just cleanup mode. I love how the game cries when there's no one to charm. It's just like, you can't! It's kind of like I know, but I guess thanks for telling me. Yeah, Excavator is honestly like a very, very nice addition. Like when they release Excavator, he makes me extremely happy. When I switch, if I switch to my normal like Yao team, I will almost certainly be trying to put Excavator in the mix because he helps that team substantially. The enemy doesn't get credit for the win. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure when it calculates like the win-loss thing. Like, it's not even obvious to me if it counts it as a loss if you forfeit. So I could not give you like a firm answer on that, unfortunately. But I have noticed that it doesn't seem... I don't think it actually counts it as a loss if you forfeit for some reason. Like, I'll have to double check if that's 100% accurate, but I feel like I've felt that before. It doesn't seem like that would make sense, but it kind of feels like a thing. That's interesting. As I say, I mean, everyone's on the same version of the game right now, so however the logic is built should be applicable on all platforms at this point. So that's kind of interesting. I was gonna say, it could also be the leaderboard being delayed, as Ryan just said, so like, it's not truly like live updating. So when I was chasing the #1 spot, for instance, there would be times where I was like notably ahead, and then like it would kind of refresh, and then it wouldn't necessarily have me as ahead as I thought I was. So I wouldn't necessarily treat the leaderboard as like, you know, 100% accurate. Like, it'll be fairly accurate, but I wouldn't call it like up to the second real time as far as stats go. It seems very nice of you that you care very much about the opponent getting credit for things, though. I admittedly don't think I've ever checked an opponent after a fight and looked to confirm if they got a win or not. But I guess if something funny happened, I'd understand. Just feels like a very nice thing of you to do. Pray for blue. Oh, I was going for that skull follow blue just for kicks. More blue. Yellow. More blue. Red. Felt like I was a Captain Planet team member or something like that. Earth. Fire. Water. Oh, my poor blues. Oh no. Were you fighting something like a Guardian Crown team or a Life and Death team or something like that? Kind of sounds like you were in one of those annoying games where it's like it'll never end because someone's designed a team to just be annoying as possible. That kind of feels like the scenario you're describing. Makes me sad. Yeah, I figured. Yeah, those games, it's kind of like, it feels really annoying to have to forfeit those, but it's just like, at some point, your sanity is more important than the win. Like, if you're gonna sit there and try and hash it out with the Guardian Crown team, like, I've actually had people in guild chat talk about how they had a class, like, they were running Bard or something, and the other team was also running Bard on their Guardian Crown, and it was like, they knew they would eventually win. It was just gonna take, like, literally a half hour, and, you know, they stuck through it. There's been times where I will seriously fight super hard because I just get mad at people for running teams like that. I understand it in Guild Wars, like, very much so, but when it comes to, like, just regular PvP, like, being an annoying person like that, it's just kind of like, why? Yeah, in Guild Wars is when I would sit there and, like, hash it out, like, no question. If it was Guild Wars, I would sit there for an hour and a half if I had to, if I thought I was going to win. But I mean, when you're up against those kinds of teams, like, as a general team building strategy, like if you're trying to grind out PvP, for instance, it's always nice to have somebody that can do something to those kinds of troops. So like if you have Possessed King in your lineup, for instance, he can always transform it away. Or if you have someone like a Megavore, you could always potentially just do lethal damage. Or if you can do anything like that. For me, it's like I'm almost always running TPK. So it's kind of like, I just kind of get an automatic transform chance constantly. But I obviously recognize that not everybody has Possessed King in that regard. So that won't work for everybody. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually kind of looking forward to getting Zul'Goth now. For the longest time, I just assumed I was not going to get it. But I'm actually, I don't want to say I'm close. I have 3 orbs of power. Like, that's not brutally close or something like that, but it's actually closer than I thought I was going to get. Because I essentially went from 0 orbs of power to 3 in a very little amount of time. So, kind of excited, because there's definitely a lot of people posting a lot more Zul'Goth teams that interest me. So, I gotta be one of the cool people in the cool kids club, you know? So we're up to 17 so far with this team. Granted, I have to double check what tier I'm up to. I suspect it's at least 4. This team is still doing mighty fine. Doesn't really have a ton of synergy, admittedly. Like, all these troops are just kind of effective damage dealers, and we're playing around with positioning and just doing as much true damage as possible. I would say casting Corpse Mare is probably one of the more important things you can make sure that you're doing. Because if you're casting Corpse Mare, you're scaling up your team. So that way it kind of helps you survive these later engagements. Obviously it doesn't hurt that I have barriers all over the place. But if I rotate out this bird down, like, it's gonna just be a lot safer. Because then it'll be mana blocked and I don't have to worry about it getting full so quickly. So, like this. So, like, now I don't really have to worry about the bird. Still just gonna get it killed just in case, but it's not nearly as scary as it was a second ago. I have Zul'Goth. I think when I first made the tier list, I had him as low B tier, but in the most recent update video, actually I changed it in the one before it, but most recently I've actually put him up there. So now he's, I think he's high A tier, honestly. When I first made the video, for some reason I had it in my head that you can still only cast him once. But they changed it so you can just continuously cast him. So if you can just continually cast something like that, you can actually build some insanely devastating teams. So that kind of required a tier list update at that point. I think I've been agiled like 20 times this game. I feel like that's true. I don't know if it's true, it just feels true in my heart of hearts. Yeah, yeah, he's definitely listed as a top A in my list, and I think that's accurate for him. Hey, what's up, George? How's it going? Welcome to the stream. So we're still up to 18. Spin for every agile? Screw it. I mean, until we get that first code, why not? JZG's got everybody's interest in mind. Yeah, that guy's Rakshas, so we'll leave him alone. Honestly, I don't view mana cost as an issue when it comes to this game kind of at all, which is why I don't rate the Corsair class really all that interestingly. Because I've never had a situation where I thought to myself, if I had just 2 more bonus mana for every blue, I'd be able to fill people, because you're either filling people insanely fast, or you're not filling up anybody. Like, when you're in a situation where you're scrapping for mana, like, that might be a scenario where bonus mana is really, really going to come into play, where someone like a Corsair could really shine. But I mean, tier list videos are always kind of personal opinion, of course. I wouldn't fight somebody if they wanted to say Zul'Goth was S tier, for instance. Like, I can obviously see the merit in that discussion. It's kind of like, when it comes to tier lists, the only time I'm going to have like a very noticeable reaction to a tier list is if someone's putting something somewhere where I just like vehemently disagree. Like if someone puts, if someone put like Fallen Valdis in anything higher than like C tier, I would have to like really question like what was going on there. But I mean, for the most part, like everyone has a lot of troops kind of floating where they actually should be. Like, I haven't really seen anyone make a tier list where I can't even comprehend how they came up with that placement. So it seems like, at least for the people that are making tier lists, everyone's got like a solid sense of what's up. Yeah, I mean, if I made the tier list video, admittedly, like, to match exactly how often I use them, the tier list would actually look a lot different. There's troops that I rate highly in mine, for instance, that I basically next to never use, ever. So, I mean, like, you know, if I put that tier list video out, honestly, it would make people go wild. Like, I got a lot of weird reactions just from that update video I posted. Like, me moving Tina to B tier seemed to be like a heaven, you know, a sin of the highest magnitude. So, I mean, people get pretty heated about tier lists. I guess that's kind of the point of the videos, though. I mean, they're not meant to be as instructional as they are interesting. I mean, obviously they're instructional to a degree. Like, if someone's never really played the game much at all, then obviously a tier list video is going to be very helpful for them to just get a general sense of power between troops. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if someone's willing to go to war over whether or not you'd think, you know, a troop is A tier or B tier, you know, I mean, the person's passionate about the game, I think. Hopefully. It's passion and not just, like, dickery. People that are passionate about the game is a good thing. I mean, honestly, JCG, that's kind of what it comes down to. Like, pretty much everybody in that video, like, I think what I like the most about my latest update was that, everyone that I have listed as S or A tier are the people that I consider, like, must craft. And then everyone after that is kind of like, I can see a valid reason for someone to want them or not want them, for the most part. So, I mean, I think it's really clear now, at least in my tier list, that the people that are at the top are people that I think are more or less universally agreed upon, certainly by me even, that those are like the best troops in the game. But there are definitely troops that I have in the A tier, for instance, that I next to never, if never, use. Like, I have Ubistat finally. I still haven't even tried to use him, although I'm really tempted to. There's actually really nice combos you can do with, like, Rope Dart, for instance. Wow. We are mighty high. So how many tiers did I buy? Oh man, I bought 6 tiers. What a madman. I guess I really wanted that mythic. Because that'd be a lot of tiers. I'm gonna pretend there was an Agile in there that I totally missed. I'll just pretend it happened, because it probably did. Dang, that was a lot of board shakeup. Sneaky 4-match. Oh yeah. This poor bird. It's like getting eviscerated and the game hasn't even started yet. Makes you wonder, like, does the Valraven just kind of like show up in the fight and it's like, hey guys, how's it going? And then all of a sudden it starts getting like blasted in the face with like spells and abilities. It's just like, what happened? Why? Maybe there's just like a really tragic story with the Valravens that we've never considered before. It's just trying to live its own life. This might be the first time that I actually go through and like pure bounty team all the way through. I wonder how many tiers I could have gotten away with buying actually. Like, I bought them all just so I could get the troop up to Mythic without having to spend any orbs, but I wonder if I bought like 5 tiers, for instance, would I have been able to complete the event anyway? Like, damage-wise, he'd be doing the same thing. I would just be getting less bounty reward. It'd probably be pretty close. Poor birds. Makes you feel for the poor little guys. 4-match. And Corpse Mare. Bam! For the win. So that was what, level 19? No, that was 20. So at this point, we're just like riding it all the way home. Let's collect what we've got so far. Orb of Chaos. Alright. If this gets a If this gets a code, it's going to be a blue. Confirmed. Honestly, that's kind of like the sneaky thing about the potions that have been in there. What's my phrase? Growth. The wheel doesn't lie. It knew we were gonna get trash. I think I say, let me see if I can guess what my phrase is. I definitely say, and all that kind of stuff, or all that fun stuff. I think I say that a lot. In my earlier videos, I definitely said a lot. That was kind of like something when I was first starting to post content that my guildies called out for me. I still said actually a lot in this last video. This last video that I made was actually super frustrating. I had to make and remake it like a bunch of different times because I wasn't saying the things that I wanted to actually say, and I had to like reshoot the same bits of content a bunch of times because I wasn't recording when I thought I was. Like, it was just such a mess. It made me a very sad person. But I'm gonna see if I can keep those troop stat block things updated so I kind of have them for every troop. Like, at some point that would be something useful to plug into like a website to basically just say you can go here to see everybody's stat block. Like, I think that would be something very useful in a like a table that you could filter by. Basically kind of like these are the troops that you should care about, or you can at least filter by things that you think are more interesting. Kind of just have to kill this guy at this point. I was hoping I didn't have to, but should probably pay more attention to this man. Yeah, I gotta get rid of this red mana generator. It's making my life sad. That's all bad moves. I don't want to lose my doggy. Bam. Bam. Well, that just made this a lot less exciting. Well, this just got wildly less scary. I thought I was at risk of losing there for a second, or at least losing a troop. Admittedly. I'll take that. I could definitely see myself saying admittedly a lot. I think the problem I have with my content, like, I'm not the type of person that's going to assume I know everything, or I'm always trying to consider other people's perspectives, which is maybe a positive or a negative depending on how you want to think of it. Because, like, whenever I'm making a video and I say something like that's mildly controversial, like, I think I always caveat something before I say something that I know is going to rattle people. Like, when I moved Tina in the tier list, for instance, I think I made a comment about it, like, just knowing that it was going to bother people that I was going to do that. So it's like, I don't stand firm behind the opinion, like, even though it is my actual opinion and I state it as such in the video. Like, I don't want to state it in such a way that someone be like, Keelam said this is exactly the way it is and he's wrong and I hate him. I'm gonna, like, find him and carpet bomb his house. Like, you know, I just want to avoid all that. So in my mind, if I caveat something, people will recognize that I'm not trying to be, you know, stating that I'm an authority figure on the thing. I'm a strongly opinionated, fairly informed individual, I guess. It's definitely what I noticed, though, on the official forums, is like the folks there kind of have like a sense of how the game is supposed to be, versus kind of discussing it with others. Like, it doesn't seem like they're very open to actually discussing things. They just kind of want to tell you how it is. And, you know, it's kind of like there's a certain level of infallibility that they seem to have over there, which is very off-putting, I find. Yeah, I'll totally caveat stuff that way. You got me dead to rights. I think I say definitely a lot, also. For some reason, I've done that for a long time. I was actually podcasting with a friend for a while, and I noticed that I would say definitely all the time. And I noticed a lot of people actually do that when it comes to like podcasting or streaming. Like the word definitely seems to be like a go-to for some reason. It's almost like when you're trying to make a point, like you need to like stamp it super hard for some reason. Yeah, that's how it feels. Like, I'll sit here and debate anybody about anything that I put in those videos, like, that's fine. Like, disagreeing with somebody is, like, completely fine. Like, I'm sure there's things that I can learn from talking to others, and, like, they usually actually have good things to say. It's just, like, it feels like you're arguing with someone about religion or politics all of a sudden, where it's just, like, you can just tell by the way they're talking that they're not going to listen to you. Like, they don't want to have their minds changed. They don't want to have a discussion. Like, they just want to hear themselves talk at this point. And it's just like, well, you know, I'm not interested in just, like, being told what your opinion is and not actually having a discussion. Like, you know, that's not really the point of a forum. Like, if they're trying to be informative, then it's not really a way to get people to listen to you. I don't think I've gotten a proper format with these Droggo casts, in quite a while. Just remembered I need to focus down this guy because he... almost did it. Because he sucks. Still a no. This poor cat's just like eating it in the face with every ability I cast. Shouldn't have done that. Oh well. Oh, lucky. Bam. I could see right when I cast that I was going to get hit with a skull. But fortunately the AI is super weird sometimes. It's kind of funny. This game's gotten to the point where it should say, it was at a point where I could figure out what the AI was going to do like 98% of the time. And these days, honestly, like the AI is like gotten flaky to the point where I think I know what it's going to do maybe like 75% of the time or like 90% of the time. Like it's definitely getting a little weirder. And I don't know if it's actually getting better. I just think it's getting weirder. So it's kind of messing with you. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever like played poker or something like that, but if you get like very good at playing poker and reading the table and understanding like what ideal strategies are and stuff like that, it's almost worse to play against people that don't know what they're doing because you have no idea how to read what they're about to do. Like, you can't draw any logical like understanding, or like their moves don't make any sense. Like, so that's kind of how I felt with the AI these days. It's almost just like I know what it's gonna do a vast majority of the time, but then when it doesn't do what I expect it to, it throws me. I could see that a little bit, but like I think lately I've noticed that the game seems to favor spell abilities higher than it has before. So like before, if there was a 4 or 5 match, the game would always match every single 4 or 5 match it could and then cast something. So like regardless of whether or not like a spell convert would actually be more useful if it just did it on the board as it was, it would sit there and match out every single 4 or 5 first and then do it. These days I've actually seen them cast things like when they had an actual setup to do it, like they had a better way of doing it, but they would intentionally not. Like they wouldn't sit there 4 or 5 matching, they would just sit there and cast something instead. And like it left me a 4 match, which was something that I would have needed in that scenario to succeed. So it's like they killed themselves because they did that. It's just very strange. I don't know if they tweaked it or if the game just doesn't know how to like handle all the new troops and abilities or something like that. But something is busted, or different, I should say. Honestly, that's why I think I tout speed more than anything in my videos and my team builds and stuff like that. Like, the last thing you ever want to do is let the other team take a turn, because when you let the AI go, like, sometimes it feels just like they do the weirdest, craziest, luckiest stuff on the planet, and it's just, like, massively disorienting when it happens. So it's like, if you can just stop them from ever taking turns, you can kind of prevent it. So I mean, I feel like that's like the best way to be playing the game for the most part. I don't even have to worry about that. Kinda want to do a fancier match than all of this. Oh well. Oh my god! Oh my lord. Yeah, there's definitely some change going on. I think the next time the devs do a stream, I'm gonna ask them if there was any adjustments to the AI. I don't know if they're gonna answer it, honestly. Like, they get very cagey when you ask about that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know why, honestly. It's kind of like, I'm not trying to, like, call them on something or anything like that, or, like, I'm not asking them to explain to me exactly how it works. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, did you or did you not make an adjustment to the AI? I would hope that they would answer that kind of a question. Like, you would kind of assume that they would always be tweaking the AI, because when you add something new to the game, like when Curse gets added to the game, for instance, or like Bless got added to the game, it's kind of like the AI should have a sense of how that works. Like, so it's not just casting them like arbitrarily. But, you know, maybe the AI has no recognition of like what it's doing or like what its spells are gonna do. Like, I'm not even sure if the game is smart enough to prioritize conversion type spells. Like, if it had a 4-match with one conversion and it didn't have a 4-match with the other, I'm not entirely confident that the game would be smart enough to know, like, make sure you cast this one over that one. I don't know if, like, you know, looping is part of the AI, like, construct, or if it's literally just prioritizing troop casts based on various things. Just move that guy. And then I'll get the 4-match there. There's an Agile. Wow. I remember that time, JZG. Worth it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I'm not saying that I want to have the game figured out. Oh yeah, code time. I'm not saying I want to have the game figured out to the point where like I'm never gonna lose. Like, and Guild Wars is always going to be the event that ensures that that's not the case. Like, you're never gonna win 100% of the time in Guild Wars, or you generally won't. Or let's just say you have the best odds of not winning 100% of the time there, because people are just making vicious teams that the devs just will not. Although some of the faction mechanics are kind of fun, honestly. Like, this latest faction that they put out, like, I'm trying to understand, like, what was their motivation for doing what they did. Where it's kind of like the first faction, like, where it seems very obvious that the way you have to beat it is extremely cumbersome. Like, it requires you, essentially, to find a Cedric room and beat it that way. Because the troop scales if it doesn't scale fast enough. Or doesn't scale high enough, I should say. So it's like, on one hand, you could take the mindset of, that introduces a level of difficulty that is interesting. And then if you're a pessimist, you might take the perspective of, that introduces a mechanic where it encourages people to spend more gems, and it's just a way of pulling more money. The reality is that the truth is probably a little bit of both, but it is definitely a much more challenging faction, like pure faction thing with the City of Thieves. I'm curious to see if future ones will kind of take that same approach, where the only way you can beat them is by doing something funny like that. Oh, is that code already maxed? I must not have deleted it out of my last one. I will send you a Dissawan instead. Apologies for that. Every time I send a code, it's like, I try my best to delete it out of my spreadsheet thing, but I'm definitely not always the most successful at it. Hey, what's up, Wizzo? Thanks for hopping in. Raksha. I should just memorize which one of these are Raksha. Just keep this guy at the bottom and keep smacking him. Good stuff. Thank you, Carlo. Thank you for letting me know. Of course. Of course. I'm just happy I've got a fresh stock of codes I can actually give everyone there. I was really nervous that I pissed off Salty so bad that she wasn't going to give me codes anymore. Like, I didn't do anything necessarily to piss her off. Like, I said a jokey comment. Like, you know, I was being a little too friendly where I was assuming she was someone I could kind of mess with. And, like, when she just stopped responding, I was kind of like, ugh! Did I just totally blow this? Lost my ability to get codes, but it was just because the patch had just come out and she was insanely busy, which is, of course, super understandable. Holy crap. I have the worst luck with these Droggo casts. Stab the kitty. Bam. Kitten eviscerated. I mean, there's really no good things here. Yeah, exactly. Never piss off the code person is right. Like, it's kind of this weird relationship where I don't hold back my opinions because I have like a pseudo relationship with like the development team. Like, you know, they've acknowledged my videos, they like retweet my tweet stuff, so it's like, but I also want to be like honest about what I think, so like, I always wonder if they watch my stream and or watch a video and they're like, well, I really don't like what he said about that, or, you know, the hero fan class is amazing, and, you know, it's really annoying to us that he actually says it's crap all the time. Like, I always wonder if I'm gonna get in trouble for that one day. I hope not, though. They've never indicated that that's an issue. So, I mean, hopefully it's fine. Just gonna keep beating up this poor cat. The devs are definitely super cool, though. It was actually nice the last time they streamed since Salty was out. I don't know if she was sick or something, but they had some other folks actually doing it, and it was definitely cool. I can't tell if they were excited to be doing it or if they hated their life that Salty wasn't around to do it. I did notice that the viewers were noticeably less than when Salty streams, which I can't tell if that's like thirsty people just trying to look at Salty or if that's just because Salty's personality is like super vibrant or something like that. I can't tell. But they definitely had a harder time getting viewers this time around. What's up, Corn? Apologies if you didn't get a notification. I'm actually just happy that this stream actually worked. I'm going back to trying to stream on multiple platforms, and I think I've figured out the latency issue that I was having when I was doing that before. So hopefully the latency is actually fine. It seems like it's actually as good as it's ever been, honestly, because I'm noticing you guys are responding to stuff I say faster than usual, which is nice. Let me get you the link. So you go there and you pop in the code. It doesn't work if you play on console, unfortunately. It has like nothing to do with you know, the developers or anything like that. That's just like licensing agreements between the platform makers. So if you're playing on console, you won't be able to use the code, but if you're playing on PC Mobile, that code will work for you. I mean, we are just ripping right along. Another vault key. Gold. 17 tribute, let's go. Yeah, song, let's go. Not that team. I don't know if anyone caught that in the last video I made. When this team pops up, I had this little not a real team pop up, because like, this team was a team that I was messing around with, but this was Aquaticus. I don't know why I put Vash in there for some reason, but kinda funny. I'm not leveling up War Priest anymore. Let me change that to Tide Collar. I'm trying to get my Tide Collar up more. I want to get it to at least 70. So Gaff is actually a website. So if you go to like neogaff.com, that's a website that I've been posting at for, God, let's say, God, how long have I been posting on NeoGaff? Probably like a solid, like at least 10 years, maybe more, honestly. But it's a website that I'm an administrator, or not administrator, I'm a moderator there. But it's a video game forum, so I mean, it's just basically like talking about video games. There's an off-topic section, there's a politics section. So when I became a moderator over there, I adopted this name. So I had a different name that I used to use for my online persona forever. But then when I became a moderator there, I switched it to this one. So now I'm Key Lime everywhere. My old identity doesn't exist anymore. I went in the witness protection program, and now I'm Key Lime. But yeah, that's a website. It's definitely a cool place though. It's got a personality though, so I mean, if you've got thin skin, like, it might not be the best place on the planet. It's not that the people are mean necessarily, but I mean, there's very controversial things talked about on there that I could totally see rubbing people the wrong way. Yeah, honestly, I mean, I went as far as having the developers change. I asked them to change my in-game name. So I was using my old name when I first started playing Gems of War, and then I asked them if I could change it, including my invite code, and they were totally cool with it. So that's really nice. That was honestly one of the nicest things, aside from giving me redeem codes, of course, that they've done. They didn't really like fight me on it. I think they just had concerns if I had a valid reason to do it, if I was trying to be like dodging like cheat detection or something like that. I'm not entirely sure why they're super like strict about allowing people to do it. I would suspect that might be why. But yeah, that's what the gaff part means. Super long-winded way to tell you that's what the gaff part of my name means. It's kind of weird, actually. I don't know if this experience is going to be the same for like the current generation of people in the world, but like, it was talking to people on that forum which kind of like grew me as a more mature adult when it came to like conversation. Like, I'm generally a very opinionated person, but like, when all of my arguments were being like put up against, you know, the opinions of all these people from across the world, from different like, you know, avenues of life, from different perspectives, different genders, sexualities, all that fun stuff. Like, you know, I definitely learned a lot about how to have discussion with people in a way that like encourages conversation versus just shouts at them. Changed my opinions on a lot of things. It's pretty cool. I don't know if kids these days are using the internet for that kind of stuff. I'm sure some are. That's how you know I'm getting old. I keep talking about like back in my day. It's the lamest stuff ever. No, it's not lewd. It's not like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say things that could potentially be. But I mean, AF is a very general, I mean, I'm sure anyone that has a cell phone these days knows what AF generally stands for. I'm sure that might be what people's minds immediately start trying to fill in the blanks on, is what does the G mean? I don't think I'm considered a boomer. I honestly never knew exactly what generation I fit into. I think I'm Generation X? I don't know, I'm 34, so like 33? Shit, how old am I? I'm 33 or 34. Pretty sure I'm 34? I don't feel like doing math right now. Is it bad? It was kind of like once I turned 30, I stopped caring how old I was, and I just like don't really track it anymore. There's been so many times in my life where I'm like asked how old I am, or I feel like I need to tell somebody how old I am, and I can't come up with it off the top of my head. It's kind of really sad. Alright. How old am I? May of 1985. I'm like trying to play Gems of War and talk and do math. I clearly fail the chew bubblegum and talk at the same time test right now. Before you turn 15? That's a, yeah, Wizzo, I should totally do that. I'm just gonna put the quick math equation on there, or like, I'll just have the tattoo like overwritten every year, so that way I'll just be able to glance down and just be like, oh yeah, that's how old I am. I mean, when I was that age, when I was 15, like, those are kind of those, like, landmark years where you're totally tracking, like, how old you are, at least I was. Because it's like, you know, you get your learner's permit, you get, like, your driver's license, like, there's those kinds of benchmarks or milestones I was gunning for. So, like, knowing how old I was back then made a ton of sense. I think once you got into, like, my mid-20s, I wasn't so much thinking about my age anymore, because there wasn't anything really to track. Once you become 21, it's kind of like there's no more major milestones. But I don't remember having an issue remembering how old I was until I hit, like, after 30s. Yeah, I'm gonna carve it in. I'm just gonna... just straight sit there with, like, a, you know, a pin or a needle and just drag it out on my arm. Like tick marks. Like, that way I'll never forget. Actually, tick marks would make a lot more sense. So that way I don't have to, like, redo it every year. I can just sit there and just, like, add another tick mark. Although, because of the way the tick marks work, that actually only kind of works, because it's not going to be able to do the, you know, I wouldn't be able to do, like, 5, like, or anything like that. Or the crosses. Actually, no, the crosses would be fine. I'm thinking Roman numerals. I think I'm stupid today. I was sitting there staring. If I could request one feature change in this game, it would be allowing me to cancel a spell cast once I started it, because there's times where I cast a spell and I'm sitting there staring at a 4-match that I like want to grab, but it's too late and I can't back out of it. That drives me mad. Oh my god. That is actually really funny. Just legitimately did not know. It's kind of funny because they would definitely assume you were trying to pull one over on them, but it's just like, no, I just literally forgot how old I was. That happened extremely recently to me. I was in a store talking with one of the clerks about like Smash Brothers or something like that. I forget why the topic of age came up, but there was a point in the conversation where I was either trying to explain how old I was, or he told me how old he was and I was going to reciprocate. I don't remember the reason. I don't remember the point of the conversation, but I just remember there was a point where I was trying to tell him how old I was, and I just stood there just kind of blankly trying to figure it out. It's so freaking weird. Yeah, I'd have to go with the tally, like the mark system, if I was trying to do it proper. Maybe not the worst thing in the world. That tattoo would probably cost, like, literally... I don't know, there's probably a minimum price for tattoos when it comes to something that small. Like, I could go to somebody and just pay, like, $20 maybe? I wonder how much they would actually charge me. If I became, like, super good friends with someone who does tattoos, that's probably something they would do for free. Because it's literally just, like, a second of just, like, meh. Or, like, just a few up and down. What spell am I even casting right now? Talking too much. Although I guess talking too much is kind of why we're all here, right? Just keep stabbing the kitty. Yeah, explaining the reason for the tattoo to the tattoo artist would definitely be a fun time. Hi, I would like to get a tattoo of my age in tally marks because I regularly forget it and seemingly find myself in scenarios where I need to remember my age. It's probably not at all the weirdest request they would ever get, but my god, I would get judged like crazy as I was walking out of there. Yeah, this cat is just getting beat. Someone clip this, send it to PETA, and be like, this man abused this cat on stream. Are we gonna stand for this? Oh no, I finally lost a troop because I'm not actually paying attention. I just kind of started blindly matching stuff. Die, kitty. Oh! Agile spin. Yeah, they would have a wall of shame that they would gladly put me on for that. This is kind of interesting. This is the first bounty event that I've done with like a pure team like this, and I'm wondering how many times I could have done pure bounty team in the past and I just like didn't even try because I didn't feel like thinking too much. Because this is fairly farmable at this point. And granted, I do get the benefit of like the bless and the barrier and all that other fun stuff because I bought so many tiers, but I'm not entirely sure if I would be having that much harder of a time if I just didn't have the barrier. Like I think I would have maybe lost maybe a troop or two extra. New personal challenge. I'm gonna sit here. Although it's a lot easier because we have a double damage troop up there. I also forgot that. We don't always get the benefit of that. Ryan, you are 100% correct, man. That would be like just true to form. I would walk in with this tattoo idea and be like, yeah, I want to get my age on there. And then I would tell them the wrong thing to start with. Like, the good news is, like, at worst, I would have to live with the wrong tattoo for, like, just a year. But it would just be a super funny, random scenario where it's like, yeah, I got the tattoo so I could remember my age, but I told the dude the wrong age, so now I'm a year older until next year. I would definitely be the guy to do something like that. I 1000% see that. Time to kill the Jaguar. Bazap. Hey, Corn's daughter. I feel weird calling you Corn. Does she know you as Corn? She's gonna be like, Daddy, why did he call you Corn? Well, hello to the whole Corn fam over there. Now I feel extremely oddly compelled to make sure I talk about PC content. Zaku, the bounties are going very, very well, honestly. Like, to the point where I'm not really thinking. I'm just kind of clicking stuff. Daddy Corn. That's pretty awesome. I never even considered that there might be kids that watch my stream in any capacity. Time to get that bird down there, so that way we don't have to worry about it running away. Yeah, this bounty event is definitely nice. There was a previous one that we had, I think it was... What were the troop types? I think it was rogues. there was rogue troops that were taking double damage because we had Mermaid, and Mermaid was doing double damage to all the rogue types, which was super nice. I'm not sure if I swear that much. Like, I've always kind of had a very conscious awareness of like trying to not swear as much as I can on stream anyway. So I don't think I'm skipping that too much. I can think of like a couple instances where I definitely let one slip out. I mean, I have 2 daughters myself, so I mean, I've kinda... I could totally talk about things that they want to talk about. We could talk about Paw Patrol. She's into Paw Patrol. That's actually going to become, like, that's going to be how I hit it big as a streamer, actually. I'm going to sit here playing Gems of War, but actually talking about kids' content the entire time. And I'll have all the views. I'll start making Minecraft memes. The way to the top is so clear to me now. I've actually started playing another game. I don't know if folks have ever played Dota before, but Dota Underlord's like their auto chess game thing that they've got. I don't know if anyone's ever played it, but I started actually playing that on my phone now as well. That game's actually pretty great, but I'm at the point now where I literally know nothing about it as far as how to build effective teams or lineups or anything. So that's fun. There seems to be a lot of content creators making stuff for that game, at least that I've found. So that's kind of cool too. But Gems of War is still my game. I think it's kind of like, I could see myself playing this game for the long run, as long as it exists for, until Gems of War 2 comes out. Oh, I swore just a few minutes ago? well darn. Well, oh phooey. Has anyone seen the new It movie yet? I'm actually really looking forward to getting a chance to check that out. The last It movie was super good, so I've heard this new one is longer but more interesting, I guess, is maybe the best way to frame at least what I heard about it. It seems like people generally find the movie less of a horror movie but more of a good movie, if that makes any sense. All I know is that the trailer that they were putting out for it with the old woman kind of like running at the person was amazing. I mean, they haven't announced a Gems of War 2 or anything like that. I don't necessarily see even a reason to do it unless they vastly changed all the mechanics somehow. Like, the one thing I could see them trying to do is increasing the team sizes for like a future game. I think the way the game is set up now, it would just make everybody insanely angry if they made a change like that, because we've all been disenchanting cards forever. So it's kind of like, unless they had a method of determining what cards you've disenchanted and giving you an opportunity to get them back, like, they could never change the team size without completely making everybody furious. But I think that might be like the only reason a Gems 2 would ever be needed. Like, they're already adding new stuff all the time, so it's not like a question of making new content that's a concern. Like, the platform that they've built is already good enough, so it's really just like, the motivation to make a new one is if they just completely changed up like the game mechanics in some way. But it sounds like the existing game is completely doing well for them. I mean, I don't know exactly what their subscriber numbers are or like how much money they make a month, but I think they mentioned at least most recently that they're still growing people. Like, there's still more people playing, like new users jumping in. Like, I think the population of people playing has gone nothing but up since they've released. So I mean, multiplayer would be amazing. Like, I would love real-time battles like this. I remember I was so confused when I first started playing. I would like jump into PvP and think that I was literally fighting somebody in real time. It wasn't until I was reading around online or like talking to other people that I realized that it was just the AI playing every single team. Real time would be amazing though. Can you imagine like Guild Wars in real time? Like if your fights were scheduled or something like that? You would probably have to... So the problem with that though would be time zones. So like if they scheduled a fight that like you would have to fight at a certain time frame, like people would have to agree to times to fight each other and stuff like that. Like the existing method allows people to be a lot more fluid about like when they do it, of course. If they tried to do it in real time, it would definitely be extremely complicated to coordinate. And if they tried to bracket everybody out by time zone, where it's just like, this is the East Coast brackets versus the West Coast brackets, like, that would just, you know, it wouldn't be a true test of, like, where everyone's placement actually was, because people that, like, if you were the best in your region or something like that in that scenario, you would have no way of knowing if you were able to beat, like, the best team in, like, the West or something like that, unless they had, like, online tournaments. Yeah, other people taking forever would be a real thing. So they would have to implement, like, a timer, like a time limit. I'm trying to think what a reasonable amount of time per move would be. Probably, like, 30 seconds? But 30 seconds feels like an eternity when there's nothing exciting going on. That could honestly be pretty rough. Like, 30 seconds I think is the best answer, but can you imagine, like, someone's first turn taking, like, 30 seconds? Like, that would genuinely become, like, an effective troll strategy. People would end up just sit there trying to time people out by just taking forever and running the annoying teams that we have today. Like, can you imagine going up against a life and death team that was also taking 30 seconds to make a turn? Like, people would claw their eyes out. We are climbing. Alright, Wheel, tell us what orb we're gonna get. Blue? I mean, I'm all about blue. I would take purple. The next mythic that's coming out after the next one actually looks super nice. Well, the wheel says it's gonna be something bad. Let's see what we got. The wheel never lies. 0 points to chat on that one. I like the optimism of Leon and Wizzo. Zaku with the reality telling me it was gonna be green. The game is like, I'm a little scared of the game right now because it's being very generous to me with my orbs lately. Like, it's, for the longest time I was complaining that I was getting growth like at an excessively bad rate. Like, you normally get a ton of growth, but I was getting them so often to the point where I was positive something was busted or like I was doomed as a human being or something like that. But then all of a sudden this month it was kind of like, oh, let's just give them a ton of ascensions and clans. Like, I wasn't getting clans ever. Like, I think before the last like 30 days I maybe got a total of like 6 clan orbs ever. Like, and that's of any size, major or minor. And then all of a sudden I got like a bunch of clans lately. Like, it's just kind of, clans have been popping off, which is awesome because I need those so I can get troops. Like, Aquaticus literally drained out my entire key pool. Like, I did not have any keys when I was done. Guild Seals I wasted 1,800 or 18,000, didn't get it. I spent 1,000 gem keys, didn't get it. I spent 4,000 glory keys, didn't get it. And then I spent like another probably 100,000 glory, I think, still didn't get it. So I was extremely concerned that I was going to miss it. And then I bought 10 VIP keys, didn't get it. And then the next 10 VIP keys I opened, I got 2. So I got 2 Aquaticuses from just 10 VIP keys. So that's actually been the story with the last 2 mythics, I think. Getting them out of VIP keys seems to be the way that I end up getting them, despite having billions and billions of resources. It seems like VIP keys is always where I actually get the troop, and all of the other keys are just there to give me the illusion of finding a troop. I have a lot more success with event keys. Event keys I actually get a good amount, but yeah, it didn't feel like a celebration. Like, I was quite unhappy with how much I actually had to spend. And like, one of the main reasons I was so unhappy was I was trying to save up because I want the next mythic just as badly. The next mythic is actually going to be extremely interesting to use. So like, now I'm gonna have to start saving from scratch again. I mean, the good news is that my guild is actually very good with legendary tasks. We get like roughly, I mean, 30 is basically the bare minimum of how many we're gonna get a week. Generally we get closer to like 34, 35. Some weeks we go crazy and we get like, God, I mean, some weeks we get like 100. When people just decide to just start going bananas. I think a lot of people in my guild actually will just save up forever until these like moments where everyone decides it's time to just drop stuff. I'm always just donating as I go, so it's kind of like I never have this massive thing to just drop on everybody. Our guild recs aren't crazy. In my guild it's a million gold, 1,300 seals. We have event requirements, which aren't too crazy. It's basically, you can make the event requirements as long as you're buying up to like tier 3, I think. So I mean, the requirements aren't crazy, but since the gold requirement's 1 million, like it's 30 legendary tasks basically by default. Which is super nice, admittedly. Like, I take for granted how many trait stones I just get passively just from like legendary tasks. So it's kind of like, probably my biggest regret in any of my videos is probably that one, is I didn't mention at all in my beginner's guide video to make sure you jump into a guild. Like, it doesn't even have to be an amazing guild when you're first starting out, just like jump into any guild. And like, you know, helping people understand the value of a guild, like the benefits you get from a guild. I didn't mention it literally at all. That's like my biggest regret in any of my videos. Let's just punch that guy down there. Oh, he was Raksha. Ooh, whoops. Oh, man. Wizzo, that's rough. It's unfortunate, too, because, like, Stonehammer, I don't know how long ago it was when you were doing that, but Stonehammer is kind of just, like, in a weird spot right now where I don't think he's all that special. I know I wanted Stonehammer for a long, long time, though. Like, I just saw the mana generation that he does, and my eyes were, like, lighting up. I was like, he's gonna be the best! And then you get him, and you're kind of like, oh, he's, you know, he's okay. He's fine. Yeah, quitting a guild can always be super awkward. I don't have any desire or interest in doing it for this game, but there's definitely been MMOs that I played where, like, leaving a guild is extremely dramatic. Like, back when I was playing World of Warcraft hardcore, like, you know, we were getting world firsts and all that other stuff. At a minimum, like, server firsts. But there was kind of, like, 2 hyper-competitive guilds on my server, and I went from one to the other, and it was, like, this massive frickin' thing. Like, you know, it was the best thing for me to do. Like, I jumped from the second best to the best guild, but, like, it was insanely awkward. I didn't like that at all. Second to last mythic. Well, that's not so bad then. That's kind of how I feel about Ubistet. Like, Ubistet is somebody when I first started playing that I was afraid of him like crazy. Like, I remember, I almost wish I could pull up my like chat logs in Discord from when I first started playing. Like, I must have been saying the weirdest stuff. Like, I remember I was trying to convince everybody that the Bard class was the best class in the game and it's so amazing and I don't understand why no one's talking about it. And I imagine the veterans in the guild were just kind of like laughing. They didn't have the heart to tell me that I was just dead wrong. I mean, early game, the Bard class is kind of amazing. Like, +1 stat to every troop at the start of the game is actually, like, super sick. But it's like the class just falls off so fast that it's like no one that's at the end game plays Bard pretty much ever. But try Talon level, you know, 200 Keylime that. Level 200 Keylime would have sat there and talked to you about Bard classes if it was Sunspear. I mean, this was back when people would say that, like, Scorpius was amazing, for instance, and, like, there wasn't so many impervious troops that you really had to worry. Like, these days, I think one of the biggest things that's hurting somebody like Scorpius, even though there's more poison options added into the game now, there's so many good impervious troops that are used regularly that it's kind of like you're not really going to have an opportunity to do the lethal damage part of him anyway. So, like, he's definitely not anyone you can just decide, like, I'm going to run a Scorpius team and just farm PvP with it, for instance, because, like, you are more than likely going to run into a bunch of teams that are impervious. Like, it's like the pure Glacial Peaks team that I put together that's, like, super amazing. It's, like, using the Daughter of Ice troop with Queen Mab and Scotty and the, I think it's called Glacial Crystal. It's basically making a mana mix of blue and purple based on Glacial Peak allies, and you run it with Frost Mage. Like, the team is amazing. The problem is that if any of the troops you're fighting are impervious or mana burn immune, then, like, the team does literally nothing because all of the damage is coming from that. So it's like, I couldn't sit there and just farm with that team forever because I can't just beat any single team with it. Like, it could be a pocket pick for, like, a, you know, something. Like, it's not even used for Guild Wars, honestly, because it doesn't have the right color matches. But it's just, like, it's unfortunate because it's like you can just tell you're not going to be able to actually use that team. Even though it's really cool. It just has such hard counters. Yeah, I mean, when I first started playing, I think that's, like, either right when or right before the Divine nerfs happened, so, like, I don't even know how bad things used to be. Like, Goblin meta was definitely a big thing when I first started playing. Divine meta was definitely a big thing when I first started playing. Like, I was just getting constantly wrecked by, like, Goblin teams and Divine teams. Like, I was basically PvPing for hours and hours and hours a day when I first started. Like, I would sit here and play this game for literally, like, 3 to 5 hours. Pretty sad, in retrospect. But that's how I was able to, like, progress so much faster than some other people. I just played like crazy. Alright, Wheel. What orb are we getting? What is the orb? Yeah, pronunciation is always kind of hard. I sometimes debate if I'm going to edit out. Oh, the Wheel says we're getting crap. The Wheel is never wrong. It just knows. Sometimes I can't tell if when I pronounce something wrong if I should leave it in the video or cut it out. Like, there's definitely been videos where, like, I will spend maybe, like, 5 seconds of the video just trying to convince myself what the right pronunciation of something actually is. I can't tell if that's funny for other people as it is for me. Like, I think I would find that funny to watch, but I don't know, maybe some people just want me to say the exact right thing. Never get it wrong. People are weird. The real test is going to be when I spin the wheel and it actually lands on a code. Because if that actually gets us a proper orb, we're going to have some serious superstition going on. I don't know why I've decided to start attacking this cheetah guy over here. How's it going, The Cure? Welcome back, man. I haven't seen you in a bit. Oh yeah, blue. Ah! I swear! It hates me so much! Like, in theory, 9 blue mana should be like a decent enough that I should loop with it more than I do. The game just loathes me. Straight loathes me. Alright, Mystic is pretty rough, like, because there's actually Mystics in the game, so that could just be totally confusing. I could totally do that, actually. If I ever get, like, starved for content or there's nothing, like, exciting to talk about, I will totally put together, like, a supercut of all the dumb stuff that I've done in my previous videos. Now I know at least one other person would find that entertaining. I think I make myself laugh more than I make you guys laugh when it comes to my videos. Like, there'll be something that I do in a video that I find hilarious that I imagine everyone else is like rolling their eyes hardcore at. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's just, I'm trying to take the game as like super seriously as possible, but I'm just saying like the dumbest stuff. Chuckle, I'll take it. That's like the slow air exhale through your nose situation where you're just like, huh. Like, not even that, just like a... I'll take it. Any emotional response for the best. Wah. That's actually my favorite part of every movie. Like, that's every movie these days now, when you check the special features on like the download, there's always like a gag reel on it, and that's like the first thing I jump to. It's just funny to watch like a super serious movie and then immediately afterwards watch all the actors just like mess around with each other. Although, like, the one downside of that becoming such like a thing that everybody does now is that it's hard to tell if some of the blooper reel is genuine or not. There's definitely been one or two of them that I've watched where some of the things just felt like staged or forced, which kind of like stinks, because like the whole point of them is that they're supposed to be these genuine moments. Yeah, actually there is a plugin that I saw for my streaming thing. I could totally actually start putting in like cheesy laugh tracks and stuff like that as like a little sound clip if I wanted to. I think people would shoot me in the face though if I abused those, so I'm just gonna not. Not upsetting people is the name of the game as far as I'm concerned. Where would I put Gorgotha on that list? So, like, I don't like Gorgotha as much as other people do, I don't think. So, like, Gorgotha is extremely survivable and he gets you mana, but my perspective on Gorgotha is kind of like, if you're looking to explode the board, there's kind of troops that can do it faster. So, I mean, like, even Harpy Mage, who was just released, is actually a very nice explode option. If you're looking for explode, like Ragnagord can explode faster. Like, so the only benefit of running Gorgotha specifically is that you have somebody tanky up top, but I would rather have my loops be set up in a way where I'm actually just outputting damage fast enough that, like, it doesn't really matter. So, like, I usually have tanky people up in the top slot anyway. I'm trying to think of a team I could even show you where it's like... so, like... Not tanky, but I have healing. This guy's got tanking because he's just got 40% skull resist. But it's kind of like... I mean, this is an example of my team building philosophy, I guess. So it's kind of like the amount of looping that's going on this team is so high that the fact that, like, even if this troop wasn't necessarily skull resistant, even though they are, you know, it's kind of like I have passive healing going on with all the looping that I've got, and the damage output on this will just be really high. So it's like having somebody that can take a bunch of skulls up top is not necessarily super important. So I think like when you're first starting the game, Gorgotha is extremely great. Like when I first got Gorgotha, he was in probably every team that I made for the longest time, because I just didn't have access to anybody else that had skull resistance like that. But I would take like Glaceon over Gorgotha like every single day of the week. Glaceon's bringing so much more than just getting mana, because like just by casting Glaceon, you're going to get mana, you're also going to do tons of damage, you're also freezing, he also has really strong skull resist. So I mean, when you're first starting out, I think Gorgotha is amazing, but admittedly, because it requires so much wind-up to start using Gorgotha, it's kind of an issue. He kind of requires other troops to support him to be like most effective. So I mean, that's an extremely long-winded way of saying like I like Gorgotha, but I wouldn't really consider him like top 10. I don't think he's really as viable to use like towards the end game, but in the early game he's like super high tier. Like he would make a top 10 early troop list, I would suspect, for sure. But towards the end game, I think he just falls off a lot. I mean, I still see people talking about Gorgotha when it comes to team builds and stuff like that, so I mean, he's not gone. I just personally haven't used him in a long time. Like, for a while, I was obsessed, like, when Gimlet first came out, and even still now, I put Gimlet on a ton of teams. Like, when you put Gimlet and Gorgotha on the same team, for instance, like, your mind might be thinking, oh, this is amazing, like, I'll have Gimlet and I can start casting Gorgotha, like, right away. But in reality, like, what you could be doing instead is having Gimlet enable another troop like Glaceon, who can actually start doing damage right away, versus, like, if you have Gorgotha going, like, you're just gonna get mana for two other troops. Like, if this is Gorgotha and this is Gimlet, these two people are the only people you have on your team to try and do damage with, so it's kind of like, it's a little awkward. I feel like you're wasting too many team slots to try and just do mana generation, when like you can be doing mana generation and damage with other troops. Sorry if this sounds like I'm like totally crapping on Gorgotha or something like that. I promise you. I'm not telling you he's a bad troop. I'm just kind of over-explaining why I don't use him too much anymore, but I do recognize that he's awesome. Yeah, the amount of stats that are getting added into the game now is going to really change up a lot of stuff, I think. Like, I can't wait to see in the future when they've released, like, a year's worth of troops. The amount of, like, stats you're going to get from kingdom bonuses is probably going to be bananas when we've got all of our deeds leveled up. And there's probably going to be actually viable kingdom teams you could use. So, like, fighting in the future is probably going to look like, you know, 100 to all of your, like, health and defense, if not more, and your attack's gonna look like, you know, 50 plus at that point in the future. Like, it's just gonna be crazy. Yeah, I was playing, I think, after, like, immediately after the explosion nerf. Like, I never played the game in a state where explosions were doing full mana generation. So, like, I never got to live that life. But I mean, explosions are still extremely good. A point that I've learned and others have made that makes a lot of sense is that the one downside of explosions in, like, high pressure situations like Guild Wars, for instance, is that you're kind of not in control of what happens as a result of your explosion. Like, you can tip the scales in your favor by having storms running and, like, having converters that work with the mana that's, like, matching the storm. You can tip it in your favor, but if a storm ends up, like, if an explosion ends up yielding a board that doesn't look right, but just doesn't look right, you're gonna end up getting yourself killed in a scenario when you could have just won. So, I mean, I think it's something where, like, explosions are still insanely good, but you definitely have to be careful about how you use them. Oh man, I'm gonna, like, rip through this. I'm gonna have a bunch of sigils left, I think. I mean, Adana could be disgusting. Like, can you imagine Tina in the future? Like, as much, I wouldn't call it trash, but as much as I talked about how much I don't think Tina is, like, the top tier, as a lot of people might think she is, Tina in the future Although I guess she'd be doing scaling damage to everybody else's level, so maybe it won't feel that crazy at that point in time, but I mean, she's gonna be doing maybe like an Aladana the kingdom bonus with all the extra stats that you're gonna get. I wouldn't be surprised if she's hitting for like 60 something, like minimum at that point. I haven't actually tried to math out like how crazy teams might look in the future. I'm sure that's actually something that we could easily figure out if I just actually tried to. But team fights in the future are going to look crazy. Like the power difference between someone just starting the game then to somebody that's been playing a lot is going to be super wild. Like it's already bad, but like it's just going to be like insane at that point. The kingdom bonus should give to all stats. So it's like the attack, the health, the armor. So I mean, like from that point of view, it'll be scaling those stats. So it'll be super cool. But you can actually check what stats you're getting when you go into the menu. So like when you're looking at the there's a menu, God, I can't even remember what it's called anymore. But there's a menu that'll basically show you what all the bonuses that you're currently getting are, and you'll be able to quickly see, like, you know, if you put a team together of like this many Merlantis people, like what stat bonuses you're getting as a result of that. So that's always how you can double check. Let me see if I can show that real quick, actually. So, if in my labbing team, I just throw together 1, 2, 3, 4, best team the world's ever seen, and you jump over to your bonuses, you'll see your kingdom bonuses, but you'll also see these things. So, like, this is what is actually showing you what the kingdom bonus is. So there's no magic in there, but it's all the other stats. So this is kind of where you can go to like check out what's going on. Magic is not going to scale. So I guess my comment about Tina doesn't make sense. I can't wait to go back to my labbing team and use it, and then it's just going to be crazy. But hopefully that answers your question, Ryan. It does actually create an interesting problem, though, because if everybody else's stats are going up but Magic's not going up with it, there's certain spell effects that are going to be a lot more interesting to use later on. So like lethal damage, for instance, or like transforms, anything that gets rid of a troop that has like really high stats, those spell effects will actually have a lot more value in the future, because someone like Tina wouldn't actually scale as much, even with the extra bonus magic. That's actually kind of funny, I never really thought about that. But it's kind of like, Tina is scaled right now, like, for the game right now, Tina is like scaled to the point where like her damage output can just kill somebody outright. But in the future, if her magic isn't scaling with it, then that might not be true in the future. So the kingdom bonus stuff is, if you go look at the power level page, it kind of tells you like what the amount of kingdom bonus that you're going to get, like what tier it is going to be. But the way that you'll actually see how much benefit you're getting is by looking at that bonus page that I just talked about. If that was the question you were asking. Yeah, the Cure, ask any question you want. I don't mind. I think this is the first time I actually didn't announce that I was streaming in Discord, at least in the community Discord. I'm generally pretty good about it. This stream I was just worrying so much about if the stream was even going to work that I was less diligent about all the stuff that was going on, admittedly. So the good news is what I learned from this stream is that my universal chat thing is like not working the way that I want it to. That's why I had to waste like a bunch of time at the start of the stream just like getting my chat box all properly set up. But the good news is that I am definitely confident now that I know how to get it to stream to YouTube and Twitch and Mixer when that one sorts itself out in a second. All at the same time again, so I can always be multi-streaming like I was before. Which is definitely nice, because I was really frustrated that I wasn't able to get that working. But I feel like if I advertised on the official forums that I was streaming every single time, that might upset people, so I'll probably avoid that. But as far as just like other announcements, what I would love is if I could just have like a Discord bot that would just do it for me, admittedly. Because it's kind of like the amount of prep I have to do prior to a stream involves like making sure I'm telling all the various avenues like what's going on. Like I generally try and post something on Twitter, then I try and post something to my guild, I try and post something to the official community Discord. As far as my stream schedule, it seems like Tuesdays are my most consistent day. I'll say that. I keep having this idea that I'm going to do Tuesdays and Thursdays and Sunday mornings, but the Thursday stream I think has only happened like once, so I feel like I should stop pretending that that's going to be a day that I can stream on. So I mean, as far as like an official schedule, I would say Tuesday afternoon, like at least... Oh, what time is that? It's like 7 p.m. Eastern time. That one's pretty consistent, and then my Sunday morning streams are pretty consistent, and then there might just be like bonus streams in the middle of the week somewhere in there. Like this is essentially a bonus stream as far as I'm concerned, because this is not normally when I stream. It just so happened that my day kind of worked out in a way where I could, or it made sense to, I should say. But yeah, Tuesday evening and Sunday morning are probably like the two that you can bank on. I might get so bold as to like schedule those way in advance, so that way people can kind of know they're coming up. Yeah, so I mean, like, it's a very common strategy to have like a farming faction. I'll have to actually double check what Underworld delves are available on the Switch right now, but there's like certain factions that are actually better for farming than others. But if the release schedule looks like the PC mobile side of things, like the Warrens for instance came out like a lot more recently than some of the other ones, so I doubt you guys would have access to that on the Switch. Although Terran from Terran's World is actually playing around with Switch spoiler stuff. So like, if you ever watch my weekly preview videos where I'm talking through like, here's all the new things happening for later on the week, like what events are going to happen, what troops are coming in the future, I've been currently blind to all of that on the Switch just because we didn't have Switch spoilers set up, but Terran over at Terran's World has actually figured out how to do it. He's like currently in the process of like experimenting with it. So for my future weekly preview videos, I'll actually be able to tell you a lot more stuff about what's going on the Switch as far as like what's coming up, what to look forward to. And the nice thing about that is that if I see like there's a class coming out, I'll be able to give you a heads up. If there's like a new mythic coming out, I'll be able to give you a heads up as to whether or not they're good or if you should save keys. So I can actually start telling you guys a lot more useful information about the Switch stuff besides like what I can physically see on my console. Because that morning, I basically just open up my Switch and open up the Soulforge, check the event. When I'm making my teams, that's the one thing I've gotten a lot better at lately, is that I make sure I double check that all the troops I'm going to be using are actually on the Switch. Because I have like nothing on my Switch. I have very little amounts of troops because I only leveled it up as far as I needed to get access to the Soulforge at the time. So it's like, I don't play on the platform, unfortunately. Some poor guild just has me in it as this like freeloader. I tried to find a guild that wasn't very active, so I'm not like taking up space in their actual guild roster. Yeah, upgrading the Soulforge was like the most rough like thing that I had to do as far as like my content goes. Like having to start the game over from the beginning and then having to level up and like unlock everything just so I could tell you guys what was coming in the Soulforge. Like I was super unhappy because it's like it's the same reason why I always hated like the arena, for instance. Like I just hate playing teams that aren't optimized. So I mean, when you're playing a team that is excessively bad because you just don't have any troops, like to me it's just not fun at all. And since I had already played the game all the way through, essentially, like it's not an exciting moment for me when I get like a new troop or something like that. It's like I already know what everything was and what it was going to do. And it was kind of like I would just look at my troops that I had and I was like putting together these awful teams like as best as I could with what I had. I think my poor girlfriend heard me complain like every single day while I was doing that. But I got it there. It's all that matters. Just realized I'm getting close to completing the bounty event. I've only given out one code so far. Largely unacceptable. Yeah, it's kind of hard. Like, honestly, that's... I mean, kudos to the people that do play on consoles. Like, I feel like that's gotta be the hardest thing to do with a game like this, because, like, the hourly tributes, for instance, are... like, it's excessively harder for you guys to access. Like, I almost wish, like, they would allow you guys to, like, bank tributes or something like that, where you don't have to be there to collect all of them, but if it'll bank, like, maybe 2 or 3 of them for you, so that way, like, it's not just, like, you just straight up miss them all the time. Because the amount of resources you get from tributes is actually very extensive. Like, the gem resources that you get from tributes are so high, not collecting them every hour would, like, really hurt your ability to get stuff later on. So, I mean, that kind of sucks. At least with the Switch, it's like, you can take the console with you, so collecting your tributes on Switch is at least possible on the go. But for the other platforms, it's like, you would have to remotely log into your PS4 or something like that and collect a tribute. That just sounds super annoying. Switching to the Yao team for me, like, that's usually, like, it ends up happening for people depending on your stats and your kingdom bonuses and all that stuff. It happens at different times, but it's generally around level, like, 10 to 15 as far as the event's concerned. But I mean, the way that you can tell that it's time to switch is, like, when you are barely winning or you're losing too many troops to feel comfortable. That's the right time to switch to using something else. I definitely prefer the Yao version as far as what I switch to all the time. Just because I find it's the most consistent, and it's admittedly fun to use. But I mean, if you have, like, Mang or Trickster's Shot, like, there's totally viable teams you could be using with that. I just think that Pharaoh and Yao go so well together that it's, like, hard for me to not use them. You also get the benefit of Pharaoh giving everyone barriers, so I mean, like, that also helps a ton too. I feel like I've been streaming long enough at this point that we're hearing songs over again. And I'm ruining Korn's daughter's ears right now. I have to, like, change that song. How close are we on the reward? Oh! One fight away. Here we go. I feel so bad just constantly slicing that cat up down there. I think the one thing that I would need to do content-wise is, I probably should be recording my Guild Wars attempts. For everybody, so they can kind of see, like, how I play the teams I use and all that fun stuff. It's just like, I don't know, I feel so weird about streaming my Guild Wars because it's like, or not streaming it, I don't think I'd ever stream it, but even just making a video about it, it's like I don't want to be distracted while I'm doing my Guild Wars. That's the reason that I don't do it, is like when I'm doing a Guild Wars fight, I just want my mind to only be focusing on winning that fight. Like when I'm making videos, or if I know I'm recording or something like that, it'll put me in a different mind space where it's like, I don't think I'd play as well. Yeah, Yao is just like out of control good. Like, Yao, as far as legendary troops go, is just like scaled dramatically better than all the other ones. Like the fact that he loops into himself, he does as much damage as he does, that he heals himself, that he also steals magic. Like Yao kind of does everything. Like I'm really waiting for them to do something to Yao, but admittedly, like he's not like so overpowered that like something has to be done with him, but he is just like notably way better than every other troop as far as legendaries are concerned. I rate him as like one of the top legendaries. I think I have Glaceon just over him. Alright, Wheel. Tell us what we're about to get here. What is this orb gonna be, everybody? Dragon Tamer. I'm kinda into that. Purple. Wizzo, you're the best. I would love me some purple. Hey, you don't have to worry. You don't have to apologize about fanboying Yao. I fanboy Yao all the time. Oh! We get to test the theory! Oh my god! How exciting is this? Alright, Wheel says it's gonna be good. God damn it. Son of a bitch. Oh well. I'm scrolling up to see what the last code I gave you was so I don't accidentally send you another dead one. That is good. Bam. There you go, chat. Oh man. My wheel theory is completely blown. What a sad time. I wanted that to become like a stream thing. But I'm probably gonna wrap the stream after I do these pet rescues, so if there was any random thoughts, questions, video requests, story requests, if you want to hear me rant about anything, now's the time. You can trick me into streaming longer if you get me chatting about something that I have very weird opinions or stories to tell. I don't know how long I've been streaming for, but it feels like it's been a while. My god, I'm so sad with this board. It's like the first fight, and this is the most epic fight I'm gonna have. Because I just can't get greens or reds together. Or browns. Or even pulling Cascade matches down. What a crap board! Please! Thank you. Lordy. Oh, it was already up already. So with the new Mythic, I'll show you the team that I'm starting with, that I'm messing around with. It's basically, what is the weapon? What weapon am I using? Jar of Eyes. It's Jar of Eyes, Mirage Queen, Mercy. I'll show you that real quick, actually. It'll give me a chance to fix my labbing team while I'm here. Well, not Explorer. So if we go here, we go to Aquaticus, put her there, throw in Mirage Queen, throw it there, get Mercy. I'm basically trying to create Blue Day Guild Wars teams right now with Aquaticus, because that's like my main reason that I wanted to get her. So this team actually works really nice in Tier 3 PvP. I mean, granted, this team doesn't look very interesting, but I appreciate it, Wizzo. When do you play Guild Wars? So Guild Wars is every month, if that's what you were asking. Guild Wars is once a month, and I personally do my fights first thing in the morning, which is not advisable, admittedly. So if you're in a guild that talks to each other, I mean, somebody has to go first, and it's generally me. But what you can do is kind of wait for everybody else to tell you like what they're doing, so that way you can find out like what teams are they using, like which ones are working. It allows you to kind of research what your opponents are using if your guild's talking amongst each other, which is very nice. So I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you'd want to potentially wait till later in the day. That Mercy is not a good cast. Kinda want to just cast it anyway though, although I kind of want to kill those two off. Watch I get eaten. I thought for sure I was about to get Black Manacled or something. I don't have the Mercy cast that I want, but I kinda might cast her anyway. Let me just get this full. They're making it so hard for me to cast my Mercy right now. Oh, when did I start playing Gems of War? I started playing in September of last year. So, like, I've basically been playing for a year at this point. Finally get the cleanse I've been fishing for this whole time. Holy lord. That team also started with insanely high stats since it was a pure Kingdom team. Notable. Nothing there. This may have actually been the hardest fight that I've experienced with this team. Just because their stats are so high. Well, that's a Mirage Queen board if I've ever seen one. Yeah, so like that's I do have a video series that I do called like PvP teams with new toys. I've only made one of them so far, but I do need to make a new one with Aquaticus in it, since that just came out. But I think the last team, or the last time I did it, it was Orpheus Verse, which is by far like probably my favorite weapon in most recent releases. It was Orpheus Verse and God, what were the others? It was Gobtruffle, and some other stuff. But that's what that video series is all about. So you can watch the old one that I posted if you want to see those teams. But I do plan on making an update for that as we go through. Almost missed that Mirage Queen cast. Die, troop up there. See, that's such a beautiful Mercy alignment, but I have no reason to really do it. I'll just do it anyway. The nice thing about running an Ice Storm right now is that literally no one on their team cares about blue mana, so it's just like open field for me to just take it. Oh sweet, good. So yeah, if you've seen that video, I will make an updated version of that one. I just have not yet. So like I think what this team is missing is that like the synergy isn't perfect. Mirage Queen's in here because it gives Aquaticus 50% mana start because she's an elemental. But the yellow that Mercy's generating is only for Aquaticus, which in theory should get her casting faster. But Mirage Queen doesn't work as well with these troops because you're not necessarily setting yourself up for green mana start, or like the green mana part of it is not really used that effectively. Like the setups like this are not as common with a team like this. So it's not perfect yet. Still more labbing to do, but I've got plenty of time before the next Guild Wars to sort out how I want to do it. I mean, if I was running this with a different class even, it would actually be better. I'm just leveling Tidecaller at the moment. That machine gun. So yeah, that's a team you can play around with. Mirage Queen and Aquaticus definitely do have synergy since they both share blue. Ideally, I would have some way of converting something into green, so that way, like, Glitter Claw would fit, theoretically. But if anyone was interested in that team, feel free to have that code. You can play around with that if that interests you. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for the video this time around. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on a Saturday morning, or at least morning for me. But like I said, probably will be streaming tomorrow morning. I suspect I will. So you can look forward to that. Got more videos coming out, of course. And yeah, hopefully you guys like the new overlay. Took some time updating that. But I love each and every one of you. I appreciate you guys tuning in, watching the stuff. I will talk to you guys in the next one. I'll see ya. Mwah.